saw Chloe again, after she'd been missing for 5 years, at my best friend's wedding. She was the bride and I was the best man. My friend, Leo, pulled me aside, grinning, to share the story of how they fell in love. You know, I was the one who saved her after her car accident. I heard she had a fiancé back then, but I had her flown to Europe for treatment that very night. Pretty slick move, right, man? Leo was still chattering on excitedly, but I couldn't hear a word over the deafening roar in my ears. 5 years, nearly 2,000 days and nights, the person I loved most had been hidden away by my best friend for the entire time. I doubled over, gasping for breath, my entire body shaking uncontrollably. Seeing how pale I was, Leo quickly helped me into the dressing room. He asked cautiously, "Ethan, what's wrong? Is your depression acting up again?" For the past 5 years, I had searched for Chloe everywhere, questioning countless people, posting missing person flyers, and even buying trending spots on social media. Even her family had given up, but I was the only one who kept searching relentlessly. On countless nights, I stood on the edge of the road, tempted to end the despair that was consuming me. But now it all felt like a cruel joke. Staring at the network of faded and fresh scars on my right wrist, my eyes burned, and my heart felt like it was being ripped to shreds. Leo sighed. "You're thinking about your fiancée again, aren't you? Stop looking. It's been so long. She could be dead for all we know. I'll set something up soon. Have Chloe's best friends introduce you to someone." Just as he finished speaking, Chloe walked in, radiant in a white wedding gown, her figure as stunning and graceful as it was 5 years ago. Our eyes met, but she just gave me a flat, indifferent glance before walking over to adjust Leo's bow tie. Her bridesmaids followed her, the same group of friends from before, most of whom I recognized. When they saw me, their expressions were a mixture of pity and unspoken words. A moment ago, I could have told myself she had amnesia and didn't remember me, but the presence of her friends confirmed it. She hadn't forgotten. She remembered everything. She just didn't love me anymore. Leo quickly said, "Honey, tell your friends to stick around tonight. We're going to have a great time." He then shot me a meaningful look. Chloe gave a casual nod, not deigning to look at me again. It was as if we were complete strangers. I slowly closed my eyes, my heart feeling as if it had been brutally squeezed, then ripped out and thrown into a fire. I had never felt such agony. I desperately needed an outlet for the madness clawing at me from the inside. I shot up and ran to the restroom, slamming my head against the wall. With a sickening thud, blood immediately started to trickle down my forehead. My body swayed, my vision blurred, and I slid down the wall, a searing pain shooting through my core. I repeatedly banged the back of my head against the wall, as if the physical pain was the only thing that could offer a moment's release. It hurt so much, it just hurt so much. I curled into a ball as a tight, crushing pain seized my chest. Then, I let out a soft, broken laugh. "Chloe, so you really don't want me anymore." By the time I came out of the restroom, the ceremony had already begun. Leo, understanding I wasn't in a good state, had found someone else to take my place. I stood in the back, watching Leo on the altar, his face beaming as he said, "I do." As Chloe solemnly placed the ring on his finger, a bitter wave of jealousy washed over me. I wanted to rush up there and stop them, to scream at Leo and ask him why he stole my fiancée. Why did he hide her away? Why did he let me search for 5 agonizing years? And I wanted to demand why Chloe was pretending not to know me. Why didn't she come to me when she returned? Why was everyone keeping this from me? I wanted to destroy this wedding, but I didn't. I just sat in the corner, and after they exchanged their vows, I was the first to start clapping. I clapped so loudly that people around me turned to stare. I didn't care. I just held her gaze when she finally looked my way. As our eyes locked, a sharp sting hit my nose, and the tears I'd been fighting back finally fell. Chloe's brow twitched almost imperceptibly before she coolly looked away, her dark, deep eyes completely devoid of emotion. I dug my nails into my palms. I thought I was going to lose my mind. I pulled out my phone and typed out a message to her. "Chloe, I can't wish you a happy marriage. I curse you. I hope you never get anything you want for the rest of your life." A second later, I laughed at my own stupidity. The man she loved had already married her. My curse was meaningless. I left before the reception ended and went straight home. If I stayed any longer, I was afraid I would snap. 3 years ago, when all leads on Chloe went cold again, I tried to kill myself. Unfortunately, I failed. My neighbor found me and got me to the hospital. When I woke up, Chloe's mother, Mrs. Miller, was holding my hand, her eyes filled with tears, begging me to live on, for her sake. but a world without Chloe was just too painful. We met when we were 6, started dating in high school, and right after college graduation, we had an appointment at the courthouse to get our marriage license. But she got into a car accident on her way there, and then she vanished. I made endless trips to the police station and questioned every single person at the accident scene. No one saw anything. Now she was back, but she no longer loved me. I drifted into a heavy sleep and checked my phone the moment I woke up. There were missed calls from Leo and a comforting text from Mrs. Miller, and one stark reply from Chloe. It was a single, cold word. Piss off. I laughed bitterly. My years of devotion, which I thought meant something, were just a joke to her. I completely shut myself away, and the insomnia returned, night after night. My hair started falling out in clumps. I didn't leave my apartment for 10 days, and the weight just melted off me. My already lean frame became skeletal. It went on until Leo, unable to reach me, showed up at my door with Chloe in tow. I hadn't showered in 10 days and I knew I smelled. But Leo didn't seem to care. He rushed in, hugged me, and tried to drag me towards the hospital. I knew what he was afraid of. I pulled my arm away, my expression blank. "I'm fine, thanks," I said, my voice polite but distant. I didn't know how to face Leo, whether with resentment or acceptance. I couldn't do either, so my instinct was to push him away. He brushed off my sudden coldness, chalking it up to a bad mood. Leo let out a huge sigh of relief. "Can you please answer your phone from now on? It's not just a paperweight, you know? I was worried sick about you. Starting today, my wife and I are moving in to stay with you. We'll take care of you until you're back on your feet. No arguments. It's non-negotiable." His expression was serious, his tone firm. He had a bright, warm, and infectious personality that was hard to dislike. So it was no wonder Chloe had fallen for him. I glanced at the figure standing behind him. Chloe's gaze was glacial, her eyes narrowing as if she were looking at a complete stranger. Even though she was cold as ice, even though she felt a million miles away, I still craved any trace of warmth from her, even if it wasn't meant for me. Just to be able to see her, for one more day, one more minute, even one more second. I don't know if I was giving in to Leo's concern or to my own selfish desires. I let them move in. This apartment was supposed to be our home, Chloe's and mine, after we got married. After she disappeared, I had decorated it exactly to her tastes, arranging the furniture just the way she would have liked. Leo's eyes widened. "Wow, Ethan, your taste is unique. Why is everything so dark? It's all black and gray. It feels really oppressive. There's no color at all, just black and gray." "Because my world had lost all its light," I said quietly. "Because my fiancé liked it this way." Leo said disapprovingly, "You should have your own opinions too, man. Why let her decide everything? For our place, my wife let me handle the decor. Super cozy. I even have her wearing pink pajamas every day." I looked down, a memory surfacing. When we first moved in together, I had a thing for pink. I bought pink sheets, pink cups, pink toothbrushes, pink everything. I even bought her pink pajamas, but she never wore them. Same with the sheets. She made me sleep on the floor rather than sleep in the pink bed. I eventually had to change them, and only then would she get back in bed. I stiffened, and in a masochistic way I had to ask, "Really? Does she make you sleep on the floor?" Leo scoffed, glancing sideways at Chloe. "She wouldn't dare. Now she even wears the pink cartoon pajamas I bought for her." A flicker of embarrassment crossed Chloe's face. She lightly tapped him on the head, trying to get him to stop. "What's wrong with pink sheets? If your fiancé made you sleep on the floor over that, it just means she didn't love you enough. And to think you spent all those years looking for her. What a user." After a long silence, I had to agree with him. "You're right. Maybe she really didn't love me enough." As I said it, I felt Chloe's gaze linger on me for a brief moment. Her voice was chilling. "In that case, Mr. Hayes, you should know when to back off. Stop disturbing other people's lives. If you could, it would be best if you disappeared from her life forever. Your self-pity is just pathetic and makes people sick." Chloe's words were raw and cruel. Self-pity. So that's all it was. I was just feeling sorry for myself. My eyes welled up, my voice trembling. "You seem to know her so well. Is that because you're both the same kind of person? You both like to disappear, to make people wait, to drain every last drop of hope from them without so much as an apology. And then you have the nerve to call it self-pity. All I wanted was an explanation. Do my 5 years just get brushed aside like they were nothing?" Chloe's face hardened, her own temper flaring. "No one made you wait. Love and hate are choices. You chose to wait, so you alone should bear the consequences, shouldn't you? Or do you think that just because you waited 5 years, she owes you her gratitude and should marry you? Her words were merciless and absolute. I stood there, stunned, as any lingering hope I had shattered into a million pieces. Tears streamed down my face. Chloe's words were like a dagger, twisting in my gut with every syllable. She was right. Love and hate are choices. No one forced me, no one made me wait, so this outcome was mine alone to bear. The love I once thought was unbreakable had now vanished into thin air. Leo, sensing the escalating tension, quickly stepped in to play peacemaker, pulling Chloe into the bedroom. I could just make out the sound of his warning voice. Are you trying to start a fight? You know Ethan's not in a good place. Why would you talk to him like that? Don't provoke him anymore, you hear me? Chloe scoffed, her voice dripping with sarcasm. He's just putting on a show. I stood there in a daze, silent for a long time. The cut on my forehead throbbed, as if mocking my foolish devotion. After that argument, I rarely saw Chloe. She was probably avoiding me on purpose. We lived under the same roof for 2 weeks, and I could count the number of times we ran into each other on one hand. I grew more withdrawn, spending most of my time alone in my room. Leo often sat with me, cooking different things every day and making sure I took my medication. I selfishly wished he wouldn't be so good to me. His kindness made me feel guilty for even wanting to fight for her. It made me feel like some pathetic homewrecker, secretly lusting after my best friend's wife. But how could I just accept it? I was jealous when Chloe smiled at him, when she was kind to him. I wanted to claw my own eyes out. I even had the despicable thought that it would have been better if she had died out there. At least then I could have held on to my illusions. I started spending more time in the living room, just so I could catch a glimpse of her when she came home. But it was like she knew, and she stopped coming over for days. I couldn't help but ask Leo, "Where is she?" He was on the couch, texting with a sweet smile on his face. "She's been out of the country for the last 3 years, right? She's got a lot to catch up on at work, so she won't be coming by for a while." I froze, asking in disbelief. Chloe came back 3 years ago? Why didn't I know? Yeah, to plan our wedding. I opened my mouth to speak, but no words came out. My eyes felt lifeless. The words echoed in my numb mind. She came back. She came back. A chill ran through me. I wanted to scream, but all that escaped was a strangled gasp. Leo's words were like a vicious slap across my face. The next moment, he jumped up excitedly. "Ethan, quick, get changed. We're going to the Crescent right now. My wife wants me to introduce you to someone." I just saw her picture. She's absolutely gorgeous. He pulled me into my room and quickly helped me change and fix my hair. I let him do it because I wanted to see Chloe. When we got there, Leo immediately sat down next to Chloe and shot me a look, encouraging me to be bold. I didn't say a word, just quietly found a seat. From this angle, I could see Chloe's every move. I watched as her lips curled into a smile at something Leo whispered, and in the dim light, her long fingers idly traced the small of his back. Leo let out a soft yelp and started playfully wrestling with her, and then Chloe cupped his face and kissed him deeply. They kissed passionately, and I had to quickly look away, unable to watch any longer. My hands, hidden from view, clenched into tight fists. I lowered my head as a sob escaped my lips, and the tears started to flow. It felt like my last line of defense had finally crumbled. Chloe was the one who had abruptly walked away from our relationship, but I was the one left trapped inside its ruins. I felt a sudden pang of relief that the lights were dim, so no one could see my humiliation. I turned to look away and my eyes unexpectedly met a pair of amused ones. Maya Vance was smiling, her voice a lazy, playful drawl. "Well, hello there, neighbor. The one who likes to play with razors in the bathtub." My eye twitched. She was the one who had broken down my door 3 years ago, gotten me to the hospital, and then stayed by my side for a week. But her words were always laced with sarcasm, which had always dampened my gratitude. Since then, we'd never spoken, not even when we ran into each other in the elevator. Maya continued, "Tisk, we've been neighbors for over 4 years, and you're going to pretend you don't know me?" I frowned. "No, I didn't, and thank you for what you did." A smirk played on her lips and she raised an eyebrow, lowering her voice to match mine. "Wow, you've got some memory. Took you 3 years to remember to say thanks. I wonder how much interest has accrued by now. So, how are you going to thank me?" Maya slid closer, her long leg in its short skirt pressing against mine. I could feel the warmth of her skin. Her voice was a low purr. "How about you cry on my shoulder? I can collect a little interest that way." My eyelashes fluttered. I didn't want to deal with her, I glanced over at Chloe and saw that she was watching me. Her dark eyes held a barely concealed sneer. I looked down and gave a bitter smile. Is this what she wanted? To get rid of me? So she was pushing me onto someone else. I mocked my own foolishness for ever holding out hope. The answer was obvious. What was I even hoping for anymore? This absurd setup was what it took to finally break my 5-year obsession. After the party, Chloe tossed me a hotel keycard for the penthouse suite. A contemptuous smirk played on her lips. You've been lonely for so long. Go blow off some steam tonight. Maya's in great shape. I'm sure she'll satisfy you. She leaned in close, her voice dropping to a low whisper. But I wonder, does she know how to touch you? I stared at her, holding her gaze for a long time. Chloe, I give up. If this is what you want, then fine. I took the keycard, went up to the penthouse and let myself into Maya's room. She was leaning against the headboard, eyeing me. So she's the one you've been looking for 5 years? I was a little surprised, but then again I wasn't. Everyone in our social circle knew I'd been searching for Chloe for 5 years. It wasn't strange that Maya had heard about it. Yeah, Maya irritably stubbed out her cigarette. So she's the reason you're such a wreck. I frowned. What's wrong with how I look? You walk around with a long face. Anyone would think your wife just died. For once, I agreed with her. Yeah, she did. Maya let out a small, humorless laugh, her gaze casual. But for a moment, there was a flicker of seriousness in her eyes. Ethan, I'm no damsel in distress. You can lean on me, you can use me as a lifeline. But you walked into this room. You know what that means. Her meaning was perfectly clear. I nodded and moved on to her, letting her guide me until we both climaxed. I had been suppressing everything for so long. Seeing her at the wedding, hearing that Leo had kept her away for 5 years, knowing she had come back 3 years ago and just let me continue to wallow in despair. I had already lost my mind. I let go completely, spending 3 days and 3 nights holed up in that hotel with Maya. I asked myself, did I still love her? Did I still miss her? The answer was yes. I loved her, but I was done waiting for her. On the 4th day, Maya and I got dressed and went back to our respective apartments. When Leo saw me, he excitedly rushed over, asking for all the details. Maya was very creative. Over those 3 days, she had left her mark all over me. I had been a willing participant, and my body was covered in bruises and love bites. Leo's eyes widened. Holy crap, I knew she was wild, but I didn't know she was that wild. Is there any part of you she didn't mark up? I didn't say anything, but I could feel a cold, intense gaze on me. I smirked inwardly and met Chloe's sharp gaze with a defiant smile. I said to Leo, thank your wife for me. Thank her for finally killing any hope I had left. With that, I walked back to my room. As I passed the living room, Chloe shot to her feet, a flicker of jealous fire in her dark eyes. Her face was dangerously dark as she said in a cold voice, you don't need him to pass on the message. I'm right here. You can thank me yourself. I turned to face her. Thank you, I said flatly. I didn't want to get dragged into anything more, so I turned to leave. But Chloe stepped forward and grabbed my arm. I tried to pull away, but her grip was tight. Couldn't break free. I frowned, trying to signal with my eyes that Leo was still there. Don't take this too far. But she either didn't see or didn't care, taking another step closer and leaning in to whisper in my ear. Thanking me for finding you a warm body to screw? Looks like you really wore her out. Must have been tough holding back for 5 years. If she can't handle you, you can always come to me. Don't worry, I'll use my hand. Because I find you dirty. In that instant, my blood ran cold and my heart plummeted. Chloe had stripped me of every last shred of dignity. Her words left me utterly humiliated. Shame burned my face. She was the one who rejected me, the one who pushed me towards Maya. So why did she always act so righteous? As if I were the one who had betrayed her. I couldn't take it anymore. I ripped my arm from her grasp and slapped her hard across the face. Mindful of Leo, I kept my voice low. Chloe, you keep humiliating me like this because you know I can't let you go. But not anymore. I'm letting myself go. Seeing me hit Chloe, Leo rushed over and got between us, his voice sharp. Ethan, what the hell are you doing hitting my wife? Looking at Leo's defensive stance, I felt a wave of exhaustion. I turned and went back to my room, but I could still faintly hear him questioning her. I told you not to provoke him. He's been on edge lately. What did you say to him? And why were you so close to him? Chloe didn't answer, her eyes fixed on my back as I walked away. Because I had hit Chloe, Leo gave me the cold shoulder for days. My feelings for him were complicated. He was my best friend. He was the one who had talked me down on countless nights when I wanted to end it all. He would stay up all night comforting me, and when he worried I'd do something stupid, he'd even have someone check on me. On the surface, he had done nothing wrong, but in reality, he had hurt me more than anyone. My 5 years of hell, my despair, my helplessness. It was all because of him. Because he wanted Chloe, he took her away from me for 5 whole years. He inserted himself between us, knowing full well she had a fiancé. So, in the end, who was the real intruder? I'm not a magnanimous person. Couldn't wish him well. I didn't want to be a third wheel in my own home anymore. So the next time Leo started making passive-aggressive comments about me hitting Chloe, I cut him off. You two should move out. Leo was stunned for a moment, then he exploded. You're kicking me out just because I called you out? I've been taking care of you for days for nothing. You were the one who hit my wife, which was wrong, and I was trying to let it go. And now you're pushing your luck? Ethan, is your damn depression just never going to get better? You deserve to be depressed. You deserve to have your fiancé leave you. Hell, no woman would be able to stand being with you. I didn't say anything, just let him vent. It was good that he was yelling at me. It erased the last bit of guilt I felt. I waited until he was finished, then said quietly, Leo, we shouldn't see each other anymore. Please move out today. Without waiting for a reply, I walked out and went next door. It was pathetic, really. In 5 years, I had alienated all my friends because they all thought I was crazy. No one but Leo would even talk to me. I knocked on the door, expecting to see Maya, but a man in a tank top and shorts answered. He looked half asleep and grumbled, asking who I was. I was taken aback for a second, but I still asked, Where's Maya? He gestured inside. Sleeping. You coming in? I felt a lump in my throat. I knew Maya didn't lack for male company, but to have another man while she was with me. Couldn't stand it. Felt disgusting. No thanks. I hurried downstairs. I had the miserable realization that I had nowhere to go. During the 5 years I searched for Chloe, my parents begged me to give up. I refused, so they washed their hands of me. And my only home now contained 2 people I couldn't bear to see. My phone kept ringing. A glance showed most of the calls were from Leo. There was one from Maya, too. I didn't want to answer. I opened iMessage. Leo had sent me several 60-second voice memos. He knew I wouldn't listen, so the last one was a text. You scared my wife. Come back and apologize, and maybe I'll forgive you. He was offering an olive branch, but I didn't want to take it. After a moment, I calmly typed my reply. Move out. Congratulate them? Couldn't. Not in 5 years, not in 10, not even on my deathbed. I could never forgive them, let alone wish their child well. If I could forgive everything, my past 5 years would be nothing but a joke. I stayed out until 3 a.m. When I got back, Leo still hadn't moved his things. After I washed up and got into bed, Maya called. I hesitated for a second, then answered. Come out. I said quietly, it's late. Let's talk tomorrow. Since she had another man, there was no point in continuing this. Maya clicked her tongue. You weren't telling me to wait until next time when you were using me. You ungrateful brat. Get what you want and then try to run. Her words left me speechless. After a moment's thought, I pulled on my pajama pants and went out. Maya was leaning against the wall in the hallway, a cigarette held between her long fingers. When she saw me, she dropped the cigarette and pulled me into the stairwell. She pressed me against the wall, pulling my pants down to my knees, her kisses trailing down my back. Her breathing grew heavy, but just as she was about to push further, I stopped her hand. Maya, if you're with someone else, then don't touch me. It makes me uncomfortable. She didn't stop, murmuring against my skin as she kissed me. Who else would I have? I bit my lip, debating whether to tell her what I saw. If I didn't, she wouldn't stop. If I did, I'd feel pathetic. I had no claim on her, so why should I care who her other men were? I remained silent. Maya turned me around to face her. Her voice was teasing. You saw someone at my apartment today. Were you jealous? I froze for a second. So she knew. Then I shook my head. Not jealous. I just don't like sharing my toys. Her eyes narrowed for a second. Then she let out a low chuckle. This toy is all yours. No one else gets to play with it. My face flushed, and before I could say anything, she was pushing me back towards her apartment. I didn't leave Maya's place until just before dawn. When I got back, I saw Chloe sitting on the couch in the pitch-black living room. I could only make out her silhouette in the moonlight. I was surprised, but I said nothing. Chloe stubbed out a cigarette. The room was too dark for me to see her expression, but I could feel her eyes on me like daggers, trying to burn a hole right through me. In the silent room, I could faintly hear the sound of her knuckles cracking. She shot to her feet and stood directly in front of me. Her voice was dangerously low, like a storm brewing on the horizon. "You were with her again? Ethan, are you that desperate for a woman?" I almost laughed. Didn't she know exactly what would happen when she gave me that key card? I looked up at her, and at this distance, I could see the terrifying madness in her eyes. After a long moment, I finally spoke. "Chloe, did you come back 3 years ago?" The question had been haunting me for weeks. I had to ask. I wouldn't be able to rest until I knew. She ignored my question, her voice a low snarl. "I asked if you were with her again. Are you that desperate? Would it kill you to go without a woman? Don't you understand? Just because I married Leo doesn't mean I stopped loving you. If you wanted someone, you could have come to me. I would have taken care of you. Why do you keep going to Maya?" With that, she shoved me down onto the couch and climbed on top of me. My eyes widened, but before I could say a word, her mouth was on mine in a bruising kiss. I tried to push her off, but Chloe grabbed my side, digging her fingers in so hard that my toes curled in pain. She kissed me desperately, but I kept my lips sealed, refusing to let her in. She was insane. Leo was asleep in the next room. If he opened his door, he would see this. And Chloe didn't seem to care in the slightest. For a split second, I hesitated. The years of pain I'd suppressed made me want revenge, a dark thrill at the thought of it. The suffering I had endured, shouldn't he experience it too? Wouldn't that be fair? But a second later, I pushed the thought away. Leo couldn't become the next me. I managed to turn my head, and just as I was about to speak, the living room light flicked on. I turned my head and saw Leo standing silently in the bedroom doorway. I had no idea how long he'd been watching. The air was thick with a dead silence. Chloe silently got up, wiped her mouth with the back of her hand, and a small smile played on her lips, as if she didn't have a care in the world. "What woke you up?" Leo's gaze, sharp as a poisoned dart, landed on me, then shifted to Chloe. He sneered. "Did I wake up at a bad time? Did I interrupt something?" He turned his head to glare at me. "You bastard. Haven't I been good to you? And you dare to touch my wife? I was so worried about you. I brought my brand new wife here to take care of you, and this is how you repay me? I knew this day would come, but I never imagined it would happen like this." I have to admit, while I wasn't happy about it, I didn't feel particularly sorry either. I stood up, my expression calm. "I never stole your woman. You stole mine." My denial only made him angrier. Leo stormed over to me and slapped me hard across the face. "Do you think I'm blind? If you hadn't seduced her, she wouldn't have been all over you. Your fiancée is gone. If you're that lonely, go hire a prostitute. Wandering around in your pajamas in the middle of the night. You think I don't know what you were hoping for?" He had put all his strength into that slap, and my left cheek stung. I tasted blood in my mouth. I looked at him, my hand raised to retaliate, but I let it fall. I'd consider that slap payment for all the help he'd given me over the past 5 years. I glanced over at Chloe with a mocking expression. "Aren't you going to comfort your husband?" She glanced at me, then at Leo, her expression unreadable, and said quietly, "Let's go home. I'll explain." Leo's face was grim. What explanation could possibly make me forgive this double betrayal? "You're the woman I love, and he's my best friend. When you were sneaking around behind my back, did you ever think this would happen?" I looked down and chuckled softly. "Double betrayal? What about the double betrayal I suffered from you too?" Oh no, it wasn't the same. I was the one who was deceived, lied to, and played for a fool for 5 years without knowing a thing. At my words, Chloe's brow furrowed. As if afraid of what I might say next, she quickly pulled Leo out of the apartment. The tense living room was suddenly, completely silent. I wasn't the one in the wrong. I had already suffered enough. But why was I always the one who ended up getting hurt? After they left that night, I never heard from Leo again. I packed up his belongings and had them shipped to him. I didn't try to find out anything about Chloe, and I had no idea how she explained what happened between us. I did, however, tell Maya what happened that night. She made me brush my teeth for 3 hours, until my gums were bleeding and my mouth tasted of nothing but mint. She only stopped when I told her I couldn't taste anything. I protested, but she just silently kept squeezing more toothpaste onto the brush. "Get it clean. I can't stand the taste of her on you. Not a single trace." I sighed, but I did as she asked. Maya and I moved in together. On moving day, I saw Chloe downstairs. I hadn't seen her since she left with Leo last week. It was strange. I hadn't been able to forget her for 5 years. But this past week, I hadn't thought of her once. I looked at her. Her eyes were slightly red, a mixture of resentment and resignation. Chloe's voice was hoarse. I came back 3 years ago. I tried to call you, but Maya answered your phone. Ethan, in that moment, I hated you. I had only been gone for 2 years, and you had already moved on. So I left again. When I saw you at the wedding, I felt this sudden vindictive pleasure. So I married Leo. I lowered my eyes and said quietly, "Do you want to know why she was the one who answered my phone 3 years ago?" She stared at me, her throat tight, waiting for my answer. I looked right at her and said, enunciating every word, "I had severe depression. I tried to kill myself. Because I couldn't find you, I slit my wrists in the bathtub. I wanted to be with you. Maya was the one who found me and got me to the hospital. I was there for 10 days. Chloe stared at me, her face a mask of disbelief, her body trembling slightly. After a long moment, she opened her mouth, but no words came out, only a choked sob. "Ethan, will you wait for me again? I'm pregnant. He saved my life, I can't leave him now. Wait for me. After the baby is born. I'll divorce him and I'll make it all up to you, okay?" I smiled and shook my head. "No, Chloe, we're in the past. I'm starting to move on. I hope I never see you again." "Chloe, it was too late. If you had just looked at me at the wedding, if you had just asked me how I was doing, I would have waited for you without a second thought. But not anymore." Chloe left, and as I had wished, I never saw her again. Maya said my old apartment had bad vibes and insisted I move into her private house in the hills. I asked her why. She had just thrown all of my antidepressants into the trash. She just raised an eyebrow, a roguish glint in her eye. "It was too dark there. Nothing good can grow in the dark. Ethan, when you're with me, you don't need this crap." Seeing the faint smile on her lips, I played along. "What if I have an episode?" Maya's smile widened. "You mean go crazy?" I smiled, a warmth spreading through my chest. In her eyes, I was just a normal person. Leo contacted me again when Chloe was 3 months pregnant. I thought about it for a bit, then agreed to meet him. I hadn't seen him in almost 2 months. He looked the same, still had that same arrogant air about him. He looked at me with a cold indifference and was the first to speak. "I know everything. Chloe was the fiancée you were looking for 5 years. He paused for a moment, then continued. "If it had been anyone else, I wouldn't apologize. It would have been their fault for not being able to hold on to their woman. I just fought for what I wanted. I don't think I did anything wrong. But it was you, Ethan. I don't want to apologize to you. I stole your fiancé without knowing it. I know what I did was wrong. But if I don't get your forgiveness, Chloe won't have anything to do with me." I slowly looked up at him, my gaze steady. "Your problems have nothing to do with me." Leo clenched his fists, and for the first time his voice softened. "Ethan, I'm sorry. I love her, and my child needs a mother. Even knowing your history, I still don't want to leave her. I saved her life. As long as I don't ask for a divorce, she'll never leave me. For the sake of the help I gave you over those 5 years, please, just forgive me." I didn't say anything, just looked at him for a long time. The Leo the first remembered was passionate and cheerful, fiercely loyal, someone who loved and hated with his whole heart. He never begged anyone for anything. This was the first time. Because of Chloe, he was humbling himself. I had once loved Chloe so much that it drove me mad for 5 years, and I had hated Leo for it. But now he was just like me. Chloe had become his demon, too. I gave him the apartment. I had decorated it in the style Chloe loved, and I didn't need it anymore. I told him to consider it a gift for their child. Forgive him? I don't think I ever could. A year later, Maya and I got married. The day we went to the courthouse, the weather was perfect. It was a 30-minute drive, but she managed to make it take an hour and a half. I wanted to yell at her several times, but I held my tongue. At the courthouse, the 10-minute process of filling out the paperwork somehow took her nearly 30 minutes. I finally snapped. "If you don't want to do this, then let's just go." Maya's lips thinned. "TSK, who do you think I'm doing this for? I was trying to make it a memorable experience for you, and I get yelled at for it." I took a deep breath and let her have her way. When we walked out of the courthouse, I was holding our marriage certificate. I felt a moment of déjà vu. The last time I had been here, I had received the news of Chloe's accident. 6 years later, I was back, marrying someone else. 2 years later, we had a daughter. Maya adored her. We named her Willow. I once asked her if there was a story behind the name. She looked at me for a long time, then said playfully, "It means I'll always want you." I smiled. "Yeah, I'll always want you too."